Next Tuesday is the day we all go to our local schools and vote on its budget. The vast majority of them pass. Last year, that number was 97%. The ones that don't usually had to override the tax cap, or they have a specific issue at hand that's become controversial in the community. Watertown may have the latter, with the disagreement over pre-K spilling into the open. We explain on today's Story of the Day.
Support for Story of the Day comes from Clarkson University, offering over 95 programs of study with campuses in the Hudson Valley, Central, and Northern New York. More at clarkson.edu.
Hey, I'm David Sommerstein. It's Friday, May 16th. First up, New York is making it easier for adult learners to pursue a free associate's degree at community colleges. Jung-Yoon Han from the New York Public News Network has more.
Tuition, fees, books, and supplies. That's all going to be free starting this fall at community colleges in New York for qualifying students. The program is run through the State University of New York, or SUNY, and is funded in this year's state budget. It's for New Yorkers who are 25 to 55 years old and who don't have a college degree already. Students have to enroll, though, in qualifying high-demand programs like nursing, renewable energy, or advanced manufacturing. SUNY launched a webpage on Thursday for prospective students to learn more about the program and how to apply for it. The website is suny.edu/freecc. Applications are now open on a rolling basis. In Albany, I'm Jung-Yoon Han for the New York Public News Network.
The communities of Lowville, Canton, and Alexandria Bay have picked the projects they'll spend New York grant money on. Those communities were chosen for downtown revitalization and New York Forward funding in 2023. Lowville has decided to spend its $10 million on 10 projects. They include renovating State Street and several buildings in the downtown, including the Masonic Temple and the Town Hall Theater. It also plans to open a new housing block of apartments on North State Street. Canton, which received $4.5 million, plans to fund 5 projects. It'll renovate the Midtown Plaza with about half of its money, upgrade the Village Green, restore a vacant building, and give 2 local businesses money to expand and renovate their spaces. Alexandria Bay also got $4.5 million and has chosen 7 projects. 2/3 of the funding will be used to redesign James Street and the restrooms by the public docks. The rest will be used to renovate buildings, restore the Cornwall Brothers store and museum, and launch a downtown marketing program. Next Tuesday, May 20th, is School Budget Vote Day. In Watertown, the Watertown City School District will ask its voters to approve a $103 million budget for next year. It's one of the largest in the North Country. But the dollar amount isn't the big issue. The school is at odds with child care providers who run its pre-K program. Those providers are calling for residents to vote the budget down. Amy Feiereisel reports on why.
The Watertown City School District doesn't staff and run its universal pre-K program. Like some other districts, it pays local child care providers to do it. It pays them a set amount per student. Mandy Burt owns the Treehouse Child Care Center, which runs 5 of the district's pre-K classrooms. She says that steady funding has helped keep local centers like hers open.
If we can't fill our preschool rooms, then essentially we could go out of business because you don't make money on infant toddler care.
Burt says that the problem is that the amount the state allocates per student has been stagnant for years. It's even gone down.
On average, what we've been getting, we're actually getting less than we did even just 6 years ago.
Burt says that's become untenable in the last year. Costs are going up, and so are the district's requirements for pre-K providers, like a more expensive curriculum and a higher limit on centers' liability insurance.
There was a lot of things that were actually costing us more money when we were already underfunded.
So Burt and the 6 other community pre-K providers finally decided to say something this spring.
We've never asked the school district for an increase. Part of the reason we never did is because we were afraid that if we spoke out that we might lose partnership.
Those fears kind of came true. Here's what happened. Earlier this spring, Burt says she and other pre-K providers reached out to the district to ask for more money.
When we reached out, we were ignored. They completely ignored us, wouldn't respond, nothing.
So they reached out directly to the school board, which did meet with the providers. They requested a 15% rate increase funded by the district. Comes out to about $500,000 total. And Burt says the board seemed really supportive. Then the official school budget was released. The increase wasn't there. Instead, a huge surprise. There was a new line item for $1.2 million for the district to open 2 of its own in-house pre-K classrooms, specifically for special education students. The pre-K providers felt blindsided.
This was discouraging for our agency to hear.
That's Lynn Petrosky, the CEO of the ARC Jefferson St. Lawrence, one of those pre-K providers. The ARC provides special ed pre-K for the district. Petrosky spoke at a public budget hearing last week.
We were not asked, and I understand that the school is not required to ask us, but we share the same community.
The school district says there's been an increase in the number of special education students in recent years, so they're working to fulfill a need. Here's District Superintendent Larry Schmiegel at that same budget hearing.
When my team hears that there's a need, we jump to do something about it, and that's exactly what we are doing.
But Petrosky said the ARC has always offered to take more special education students and has always been told no. The biggest concern about this proposal for all pre-K providers is the fear that they'll lose staff to the district because it can pay more. Again, the ARC's Lynn Petrosky.
I don't think we want to be in a position where we're stealing staff from one organization or one school district to the other.
The Watertown City School District declined to be interviewed, but said in a statement it can't comment because it's currently selecting pre-K providers for next year. Addressing the 15% rate increase requested by pre-K providers, Superintendent Schmiegel said at the budget hearing that the funding they give to pre-K programs is set by the state, suggesting the district can't add to it. But that's not true. State guidance doesn't prohibit districts from supplementing pre-K funding. And when I checked with other North Country superintendents, they said districts can and sometimes do supplement their pre-K funding, including for community partners. During the budget hearing, just one school board member spoke, Millie Smith. She was upset. She said pre-K providers like the ARC and the Treehouse should have been consulted about the district opening its own pre-K classrooms.
And this was never brought to the board to talk about. Or
So
to
I
decide.
kindly disagree with what you're saying, and it was brought to the board, and you voted yes on the budget on the 14th.
Well, you know
And it
what?
was also
I'm just going to be
mentioned in
completely honest with you. I feel tricked.
Smith says board members voted yes on the new pre-K classroom proposal under the impression that pre-K partners would support it. She asked why the ARC wouldn't be asked to expand its program versus the district starting one from scratch.
Why wouldn't we consider having people that are experienced grow their program? Why would we want to take on that legacy cost?
NCPR reached out to all Watertown City School District board members. Just Millie Smith responded. She said she doesn't support the budget because it ignores the needs of the district's pre-K partners and is not taking a fiscally responsible approach to growing pre-K programs. She's also concerned about the lack of transparency.
The thing is that there was never a discussion with the school board. I'm part of the finance committee, so I would have been privy to that information. He never discussed it.
Smith says other board members have not been willing to call a special meeting about pre-K funding, so the budget is going forward to be voted on as is. Mandy Burt says she and other community pre-K providers are now asking the public to vote the entire budget down, so the district is forced to revisit the pre-K proposal. Burt admits this is a pretty unusual ask, but she says they have no other recourse.
How can you say that UPK can only be funded from state funds and then turn around and fund your own UPK classrooms with money from the public? And now you can pull all of our staff because you can pay them more than we can pay them.
Burt says the community should be concerned because the district's actions threaten the future of childcare in Watertown. The budget will be voted on this Tuesday, May 20th. Amy Feiereisel, North Country Public Radio.
We have more news all the time and through the weekend on our website, ncpr.org. Music today by Mark Corey of Watertown and Pencil Dive of Saratoga Springs. I'm David Summerstein, North Country Public Radio.